Love. We need all sorts of different language for the different facets of our experience, but this is a great one because it's so slippery and so central to our experience. And we'll try to separate it out and say, well, this has nothing to do with emotion, blah, blah, blah. But love is just a word for expanding our sense of self. It's an emotional word, the emotional experience of expanding our sense of self. When you love something, you care about what happens to it. You can feel it more deeply. You've taken it inside a little bit. Although you haven't actually taken it inside, you've actually extended yourself. You've expanded. You have to be bigger to love. Love and enlightenment are like this conceptually, because basically enlightenment is, what is it? Becoming one with everything, right? You love the world without reservation, without judgment, without anything but just presence. Just presence. We're willing to be with it no matter what. And that to me is the ultimate definition of love. Space, acceptance. Incorporating it into our deepest being, our concern, our care. And this is very helpful because sometimes our emotional stories can get confused, or we can have something buried in there that ends up, for historical reasons or whatever, cultural reasons, that story might end up running counter to what it is that we really want to have in our lives, to create, to have around us. And so this is a wonderfully simple guideline where we can, in the presence of somebody having a hard time finding love for somebody at a challenging point in a relationship, or you wanting to deepen but don't know where to go, or we talk about loving something larger, in society or whatever. It can be very abstract, it can be an idea. Here's a physical experience. Expanding your sense of self. Starting with kinesphere, starting with breath. Relaxing. Relaxing and allowing our feeling to encompass more and more space, not deciding that we end at the skin, that I stop here. What happens here is important to me. What happens here is important to me. What happens here is important to me. I can feel my hand. Not because I have it, I can feel the presence of my hand on the surface of my head. So there's a very basic physical story. That can help us access an emotional story. There's a very basic physical story that can help us bring that emotional experience into other parts of our lives where we might not have thought of it. How do you do business in a loving way? How do you bring that quality to a certain interaction? How do you expand your experience of that emotional state, into more places, into more time in your day, more places in your life, more situations. And of course, when you expand, you will run into the reasons that you had closed that off. And so it won't always be pleasant, but it doesn't need anything other than deciding to just accept that that is there and feel it. And now you're feeling bigger. And eventually, with feeling, those things that built up in the absence of feeling will change. They will go away. They will slough off without any action on our part. So we expand, and then we've expanded. Whatever it feels like. We expand again. We keep choosing that and relaxing to allow ourselves to get bigger. And there's no effort involved in getting bigger, because we are fundamentally connected with everything, as the systems scientists would be happy to tell you. There is only one system. So, relax, allow. And recognize that love is not a certain part of the spectrum of emotion. Love is the acceptance of the whole spectrum. It is in itself. I think there is an experience that belongs on that spectrum, but it's different than it's a smaller piece, a subcategory, if you will, that we kind of step off the spectrum of emotion at one end into something that encompasses all of it and doesn't care what's there, but will love anyway. Love isn't mutually exclusive with any other feeling. You can love and feel anything else. I can love myself when I feel anger, hate, jealousy. And that's a very useful thing to be able to do at some point, because I know that being angry at myself, or just letting myself be consumed by something, be sort of caught up in that story and forget the fullness of who I am, serves nothing. And will only perpetuate whatever it is I'm in. So, allow yourself to relax. And feel. And get bigger. And watch love arise. Because that's what it is.